Hello. Welcome to another All Hands on Deck. I'm Catherine McBean, and excuse me, it's been a while. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I look like this. My eldest daughter got married this weekend. It was a DIY wedding because they absolutely don't see the point in spending 20, 30,000 on a wedding. Absolutely agree, but it was all hands on deck, and I'm utterly shattered this week. But vibing high on everything that's going on. And I've had a number of people come to me and ask, why are you so happy? Why are you so calm about everything? And I think it's actually a good point for reflection here. And I think I can do that pretty well as somebody who's kind of been awake and aware or on this journey for, a couple of decades now, over a couple of decades now. So I can see very clearly where we were and where we are now. And it brings me great joy. So I'm only going to go back to 2020. I'm not going to look beyond that. Previous to that, for a quick overview, 2017, 2018, a lot of people woke up for a number of different reasons. Brexit helped to some degree. Not really, but a little bit for some people, as they understood there were shadows at hands and players in the background who were doing things, manipulating things, and they started to sort of, ask questions. But obviously 2020 hit, and so I in 2016, I'm very open about this. I was very, very concerned by that point, and all I could think about now is, hey, I can't wake the world up. I need to protect my children, and I went and lived off grid and did lots of different things. And then 2020 came along, and it was a very joyous time in a lot of respects for me, which sounds incredibly selfish, but actually I could see that this was going to happen and this was going to wake a lot of people up. And exactly that is what it did. And it had to. It had to, because the trajectory we were on was brutal. It was bad. I'd already started to feel quite positive 2017, 2018, but 2020 really kind of lifted me. And it sounds, like I say, terrible. But if we hadn't have started waking up at that point, where we are now would look very, very different. It looks dark and it feels heavy, but actually it really is not. So from 2020, we started to understand, a lot of people woke up and started to understand, hang on a minute, what's the media playing at? For the first time in forever, they started questioning the media and understanding the mainstream media is not our friend. It's purely a propaganda arm for government, for the establishment, deep state, whatever you want to call them. And then they started to understand, hang on a minute, big pharma, what are you doing here, guys? What is this situation? You're controlling this. And actually we can see some doctors and scientists speaking out and they're getting nothing but attacks. Why? What's happening? Why is that happening? And started looking into big pharma. And again, music to my ears. I was late to the game in the sense that I didn't pick up on until the HPV vaccines came out. My kids had their regular childhood vaccines, but that was it. I stopped after that, thankfully. But a lot of people suddenly hit 2020 and realized big pharma isn't what we thought it was. And that is great. This is all part of the awakening. And other people started to see how others were easily manipulated, by the propaganda, by the government. We all saw the hysterics that came out during COVID and actually how captured people are. And others needed to see that to understand the depth of the problem as they started waking up and seeing, actually, I was there. These people are still not waking up. This is actually an issue. Why are they not seeing what I'm seeing? Why are they putting this untested new technology into their body? When, to me, as somebody who's awoken, they're saying, why are they not seeing this? And we had to start questioning why others weren't seeing it, because that leads down different rabbit holes. Something I was talking about back in, I think, like 2012, 2013, and brought me great joy was to finally see people talking about geoengineering. It had been a long old journey. I'd had a lot of abuse for that one. But people are seeing it now. And it's not just, I mean, I've got a normie neighbor. They're seeing it. So this is a topic that's really breaking through. And once you understand that, it helps you understand what's been going on with the weather, what the climate change argument actually really is, which is bullshit, and the net zero crap, and why, how they're controlling our farming, how they control our food production, how they control our health. It's so many elements attached to it. And again, um, people understanding not just the geoengineering, but how does that happen? Who's behind it? Who's paying for it? Why? Why are they doing it? And the questions get asked, and that's the important part. People asking questions. So that's happened. People are understanding there is a deep state, there is an establishment, whereas before they just thought it was all nonsense. Actually, they're seeing now that is really the case. There is no democracy. Our votes mean nothing unless it's what they want us to vote, and everything is actually controlled in the background by the shadows. It isn't the government. The government, they're just front players. What you're looking for are the people behind the scenes. And I've said this endlessly, and I'll keep saying it. Starmer's out now. We've got Burnham. Don't matter. Doesn't matter. Whilst the establishment is still run actually by the people in the shadows, then none of these appointments mean anything. They're just puppets. People are starting to become aware of such things as drug, sex, and child trafficking. There was some of us who back 2016, 2017 were really kicking it in terms of the Epstein conversation and the similar conversations there. But I'm going to be honest, until about 2019, even I didn't realize just how industrious this entire thing is. It's massive. It's massive. So people weren't aware of that, and now they are aware of that, and that is massive. And that's a big process to go through. That's a huge process for anyone normal to go through, is the emotional realization of what's happened to these kids, what is happening to these kids. And look, it was happening under our noses and we didn't even know. So these are huge steps forward, and I want guys to recognize how far we've come and why this is happening. And I'll explain that as we go through. We're realizing, people are realizing what went on in 2014 in Ukraine, because they're seeing, all they saw was what they thought was, Russia attacking Ukraine because the Donbas region, and that being the official narrative. When actually now people are learning, well, hang on a minute, there are biolabs in the Ukraine. They do organ harvesting there, money laundering there, breeding farms are there, and it's run by the Jewish mafia, as it has been historically anyway. If you go back through, you'll understand the role that Ukraine played in terms of the support for Jewish people, as a pogrom, and what that looks like. And if you don't know about that, go and look at it. Go and look at it, because it all leads somewhere. It all leads somewhere. People are understanding globally court systems are corrupt. Again, before 2020, people weren't even thinking of this stuff. There were a few, there were people out there, but largely people didn't even consider that stuff, on how corrupt the judicial systems across the world are, particularly in the Western world, how corrupt they actually are. Actual judges bought and paid, installed and bought and paid for. There is no freedom there. There is no freedom with that. Um, how much the Zionist lobby is in control of so many Western governments. This is a huge one for me. This is one of the biggest ones for me by far and away. And you might have gathered that if you follow me on X, you'll know that how I feel about that, because it isn't just government control, it's banking control. It is everywhere. It is every element of the establishment. And again, people are starting to realize, hang on a minute, this Zionist lobby situation isn't anything new in our systems. This is nothing new. We're in over 100 years old. We're in well over 100 years old. So those that say we're a sovereign nation and we have full democracy, that's complete and utter bullshit. Sorry to break your bubble, mate. Complete and utter bullshit. We're not run by your regular Brits, your native people, historically native people. That isn't the case. And more people are starting to realize that now. And that is so incredibly important, because that's why when people sort of still in a system where they think, oh, well, part of the government works and we can, this bit's quite good and this bit. No, it's all control. The whole establishment must crash and be done with. Like literally, as I keep saying, bar some of the physical infrastructure, the rest has to go, because it's owned and it's not by Brits. That's the bottom line. We're starting to understand our true history. Actually, everyone was like, whoa, Cromwell, whoa, Churchill. Oh, hang on a minute. They were owned by the Jews. That's a big moment. That is a big moment. And there's a lot of people out there who still aren't ready to listen to that or accept it. But again, do your research, make your own minds up. Don't just listen to me, do your own research. But it's important we understand our true history. And I'm going back, obviously, hundreds and hundreds of years, not just talking the last couple of 100 years, hundreds and hundreds of years of what our true history looks like. And I'm talking globally as well, not just us in the UK. When you start thinking about things like Tartaria and the Dark Ages, were they really so dark? And what happened 2,000 years ago? What happened 3,000 years ago? What are the Nephilim? What was the Great Flood all about? Was that really God? And why were we getting stories of very similar nature across the world? And, all these stories that people are now looking into, thankfully. There was no chance of that 6 years ago. Well, again, teeny tiny proportion of humanity was looking at it. The majority of people didn't look at it, didn't understand it. And now that number is growing and growing and growing. And people are questioning more and more, like the moon landing, all of it. People are questioning it. And none of that was really happening in any great number before 2020. This is the Great Awakening. And the point I'm trying to get across is look how far we've come in 6 years. How many people are now more aware of these things than they were 6 years ago? And if you tell me that this is all natural and organically happening, I've got a bridge to sell you. This is a scripted movie. This is a panto playing out as it needs to. And the purpose behind the panto is to awaken the world. People Morpheus got it right, didn't it? So I've got really bad hay fever, I'm all itchy. Morpheus got it right in the Matrix, when he was saying, the people just they're going to protect the system they're in. They think that the system they're in is the right one. It's important. And actually, what we're realizing now is more and more people are coming to the fore, going, no, 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 hang on a minute, we're in the Matrix. What the hell's going on? We needed to be reaching this. This is the Great Awakening. And you cannot have a massive change within society and not have it break down unless you've got a certain percentage of people understanding and behind that change. And that is what we're doing right now. That is what we're seeing right now. And I'm loving it. People understand more about farming now, big ag and big chem and all of these things that they thought were just naturally happening. No, it's all controlled. Our whole food supply system is controlled. And we are far more unhealthy because of it. Our soil is more unhealthy. Our natural world is more unhealthy. Modern farming has decimated so much of our natural ability, but people are becoming more aware of it. Finally, again, this is one I've been on a long old time. This is how I woke up. Not very interesting, but that's how I originally woke up. And I've been on this journey forever and a day. But people are now starting to realize there is far better ways to do this. And actually, we don't have sovereignty in our food production. We don't have sovereignty in any sort of production that we do. We become reliant on international trade. I don't have an issue with international trade, but I sure as heck would like to be more self-sufficient in this country. And people are understanding that we're not, and actually understanding the benefits of us being so. Again, huge progress. I can assure you, before 2020, people weren't even, barely anyone was looking at that. Anyone. And people are becoming far more aware now. And they're understanding that um, the media is corrupt, the pharmaceutical organizations corrupt, big chemical plays a big role in our big agriculture, none of which that should be happening. The supermarkets in and of themselves are corrupt. They pay low wages, which then their workers are subsidized by the tax credit system, which is paid for by the taxpayer. So everyone's starting to understand. They're starting to see the bigger picture. And this absolutely had to happen. And I can assure you, 100% before 2020, it didn't look anything like it does now. Nothing like it does now. And then we're getting people. There's another set of people who understand. They've done all this. They've done the research and all of that. They've done the research in the politics. They understand it's all complete bullshit. They understand the corruption is rife everywhere. And they moved on to the next level of stuff, which is then looking at, if you like, the metaphysical, the esoteric. I don't know how you want to necessarily word it, and true history, real history, all of that stuff. And these people are the ones that, if you like, are ascending in their consciousness. These are the ones that are, and for those of you that don't understand what the heck I'm on about, again, do your own research. So there's a consciousness shift. The Great Awakening is a consciousness shift. People are becoming more conscious and aware of actually what reality looks like. And if you're doing it right, I believe the more you learn, the more you realize how little we actually know. And I now feel more ignorant than I've ever felt, even though I know more than I've ever known before. So it's becoming aware of that. And part of the process of the Great Awakening is the breaking down of the ego. It is looking at things from a fifth dimensional kind of perspective, which is taking yourself out of the 3D of normal day-to-day life and looking at things from a different angle, from a different viewpoint, from a place with no big ego, no defined decisions. This is how I feel. This is what I know. This is what I think. And accepting the fact, hang on a minute, I'm an open book. Let's see what, and actually not just looking at the facts, but judging things based on your feelings, your instinct, whether it be, gut instinct, the Holy Spirit, whatever way people want to look at it. I'm not here to judge. So they're thinking about things like, is there a firmament? What really went on in Antarctica? What was Tartaria? Are these mythical and biblical legends? Is any of that actually based on reality and truth? And what is ascension? What does that look like? Why should we be concerned with ascension? And so we're reaching a point now where more and more of the world are seeing this. The big one for me has been this whole Israel-Iran conflict. People understanding finally that the issue is Israel, and it's always been Israel. And don't think for a minute it just started in 1948. You go back Bolshevik, you go back First, Second World War, go back before that, go back and look at what's been going on with this whole Jewish mafia situation and how long that's been going on. Hello, 2000 years ago, Romans have a chip on my shoulder, want to get revenge ever since. Um, so I'm throwing this all out to you guys. It's got rapid fire because there's a lot of things that if you don't understand what I'm going on about, you still have gaps, and I've still got gaps, but there's still clearly gaps there that you could look at filling in terms of your knowledge, or certainly to the point where you're asking further questions. Now, what's happening now is pretty beautiful. We're seeing now the Fauci files come out. Thank you, Gabbard. She's done great on that in the terms of the biolabs, which covers a couple of topics there, but are obviously interconnected. Everything's interconnected, let's be honest. And then you got Thomas Massey, who is getting ready to drop names on the Epstein files. You've had Rupert Lowe, love him, hate him, however you feel about him. If he is going to stand up in Parliament, and when that is, I don't know because they closed soon, but if he is going to stand up in Parliament and deliver names of people in senior roles who've been involved with these child trafficking, sorry, I beg your pardon, rape gang groups, that could be very, very helpful. Will he, won't he? Well, that in and of itself will tell us a lot. You've got over in the US, games are being played and you need to look through it. So what we're seeing now is the world's realizing, hang on a minute, we were told Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, these were the really bad guys. These were the creme de la creme of the commie nightmare. And actually what people are now realizing is, hang on a minute, maybe they're not actually as bad as we were told. And this is huge. This has to happen because it actually changes the position of every country in the world. It all starts to look different. So it's really, really good that we're seeing that now. And we're watching now what is happening in terms of the Israeli implosion on a PR level. It's one of the biggest things that needs to happen. And in my head, I had this little tick box over the years of all these things that need to be ticked off in order for us to reach the peak of the Great Awakening. And many of them have, like I say, the banking system, what the political system really looks like, royal families, that's another one, bloodlines, that's a big one people are seeing, what's going on in Ukraine, and not just Ukraine, it's across the world, and understanding the enormity of the depravity that we're having to deal with global governments, with the deep state establishment, whatever you want to call them, what that looks like. People have been on a spiritual journey. So many more people have been on a spiritual journey. Now, I'm not telling you what's wrong. It absolutely is an individual journey. But the fact that people are on it for the first time in years is incredible. Interestingly, I was speaking to a bunch of people at the wedding this weekend, and there was Eastern European people and various people from across the world. But the Eastern Europeans know, even though they don't sit there and do it in a conspiracy theory styling like I do, they know. Interestingly, Britain seems to be one of the worst places for people to wake up. When I speak to others across the world, there seems to be far more knowledge than we've got in the UK. But I think that's because historically, I'm afraid, I'm sorry, but we're a bit arrogant. We're a bit arrogant. We think we know it all. We do have a bit of a superiority complex as a country, and we need to be humbled a little bit. And unfortunately, because we've never been at the severe end of communism, we've never been at the severe end of anything. Well, certainly for not hundreds of years, whereas a lot of these nations have. So they're far more astute than us. They're far more aware than us. And Brits could do with actually listening to these guys and understanding that we're really quite ignorant. But it gives me joy because it shows me the rest of the world is waking up quicker. They are faster. It is happening. It's just actually in Britain, we're not so great at that. And we've had the BBC, the big one of the biggest propaganda wings in the world, for many, many decades now. And we are very much stiff upper lip as a nation, which means we tolerate a lot of bullshit before we reach the breaking point. So the Brits are one of the last actually to come through this, but actually there's a good reason we need to be left to the end, and a lot of that evolves around the establishment in the City of London as well as the royal family, and people again are becoming more and more aware of that. So you need to reach a certain point to tick all these boxes, and Israel and the City of London and that is one of the last ones. And I think what we're seeing now is the unraveling of Israel and the City of London to follow soon. And what the deal was with Iran that Trump's done is actually going to really damage the City of London. And so hats off for that one. I've got to say that was a good move. And if you haven't read that, go and have a look at it. I don't know if it'll go into place yet. We'll see. Could all be part of the panto. Who knows? But the fact that they floated it in and of itself, first time anyone's done anything like that, like in forever. And yeah, really, really interesting move. So there's a lot going on. It has to be this way. People are being told a story, and a story is being unraveled for all of us as to what actually reality looks like. And that's been going on, well, since 2016, 2017, but really in earnest since 2020. And I, as somebody who has been awake for a very long time, has never seen anything like this. I am so positive. So Parliament ends shortly. I don't know the date, beginning of July, I think. Maybe it's end of July. I don't know, but it's soon. They're going to recess for the summer. MPs can't easily be arrested outside of that period. Interesting timing, very interesting timing. And there's no real sitting government during that time. I think they might play games because they've got to have somebody in for the 1st of September. We'll see. But the point being, there's a lot lining up to kick off this summer. And I think we're literally down to weeks before the big bombs start dropping. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about truth bombs and actually action happening. I don't think it will be long now, but you can't go and do mass arrests and do all this, that, and the other without a certain percentage of the world being aware of what the reality is and why those things are happening. And that's what's been playing out all these years. We're now reaching the crescendo. Every single thing on my list is virtually ticked off. Virtually everything. There's a bit more, like I say, to do on Israel and the City of London. I am expecting Israel to pull, or on the surface of it, look like they're pulling a false flag or an attempted false flag attack. That will then be highlighted, proven that it's Israel, and we'll start with the 9/11 dropping and everything else. Because the world has to see what that reality looks like. I'm afraid after the World War II Holocaust kind of narrative, people are still reticent to talk openly about what took place. And actually, we need to have those conversations. And once they understand what 9/11 looked like and JFK and all these other things that have gone on, they're going to be breaking down some very severe programming, which is fantastic. So my tick list is pretty much done. Anyone out there who's still going, oh no, we got what we had Starmer, but now we've got Burnham, and oh, drama. Cut it out. Cut it out. They don't matter. They're puppets. It doesn't give a shit. I don't give a shit who's the front man. I'm more interested in who's behind the scenes. I'm more interested in who's the shadow. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of them are going to be Zionists. And the world needs to understand that, particularly those in Britain need to understand that. They need to understand who brought the migrants here, why they brought them here, what was the purpose of that, how are the migrants being used now, who's pulling the strings. People get scared. Don't be scared. Don't fear it. It's a panto. Yes, it's a dangerous real one, but it's a panto nonetheless. Don't fear it. And besides which, fear never did anything except destroy our central nervous systems. So don't live in fear. Live in hope, because the fear was to be had 10 years ago when no one was waking up. Trust me when I say that was the time to be fearful. Now, no. The world is waking up at an exponential rate I have never seen happen in all of my time, all of my life. And I've been at this, like I say, over 20 years. And they're waking up thick and fast. Stop worrying about it. Stop stressing about it. You right now cannot control it. There could come a time soon when we might have to get up on our feet soon in this country. I'm getting a feel for where things are at. They moved quite quickly in the last week in the direction I wanted them to go. So if they're all hanging themselves, don't interrupt that. That's the kind of my thinking at the moment. So I'm watching very, very closely. But if I feel I need to help bring an uprising, then that's what we do. Don't fear it. Embrace it. Embrace the change. Embrace what's happening needs to happen. The systems have to be exposed and then crash and burn, and we build the new from there. And it won't take long. It won't be much. And my goodness me, the world will be so much better for it. So much better for it. We're watching people walk away from the digital world more than they have done in the previous, what was it? I read about 15 years. More and more people are walking away, or certainly not so attached to it. Everything's changing, everything's shifting, and I don't see any of it as a negative. I really, truly don't. Look what we've learned. Look at where we are, how quickly that has happened, how many of us are awake now, all those that are looking at the 5D stuff, those that are raising their vibration and frequency. For you guys, you don't understand that. That is a massive, there's loads of it going on. There's groups all across the world doing it. And it's absolutely incredible to watch because this consciousness thing that I've mentioned previously, you're going to all be made more aware of that in the fullness of time. And if you don't know about it now, have a look at it. Everything is interconnected. But yeah, it's wonderful. It's all good. Sit back and enjoy it for a minute. You know, People say, "Oh, leave them behind. There's no more waking up. There's no more." Yes, they will. They are, and they will, because I believe there's a reason that there's all these satellites in the sky from Musk. I believe there's a reason that all of these players are being exposed, even the ones close to Trump, even the ones within our own establishment. There is a reason this is all happening. And it's going to lead to a point, I do believe, when some of the good guys are going to have to come in and explain to everyone what's going on. And I think that's why the satellites are up there. Do I like Musk? Do I trust him? No, no. But do I understand what is at play here? I think so. I do think so. If you look at it from a logical point of view and break everything down, and it's too much for me to put in one video, you have to do the work yourself. But if you actually look at everything from a place of logic and also listen to your gut instinct, you're not going to be too far wrong from coming to the truth. So anyway, I just want to put this out there. I've never seen an awakening like it. It is happening. We, the people, will be in control. People need to first understand why things are as bad as they are, and everyone's got to be pushed to the precipice. It absolutely has to happen because people will not adopt change. People do not like change. So they have to be pushed to the precipice in order for change to happen, in order for them to understand and believe what actually the truth is and what that will be when we're told it. I've got a pretty freaking good idea myself, but it's going to happen. I have absolutely total faith. I have thought this now for 6, 7 years. This is the way things have to go. Nothing that's happening right now is remotely concerning or worrying to me. None of it's shocking. None of it's surprising to me. If you think about it logically in the path it has to follow in order to wake the world up and bring the change that needs to happen, it is happening right now. Yes, I'd like it all to happen a lot quicker, but I'm naturally an impatient person and I've been waiting over 20 years, so I think I'm doing all right. Anyway, I want to share this with you. You might have more questions. I don't know whether I'll be able to answer them because I've got a really, really busy week. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Stop worrying. It's fine. It has to happen this way. The ending won't be for everyone, but tough tits. It's going to be what it's going to be. But yeah, if you disagree with this, by all means, let me know. That's fine. But I genuinely, for over 20 years of doing this, have never been more comfy. It has to be this way. God bless. Have a good week, and I'll catch up with you soon.